The gavel struck with finality, each echo tearing through Alex Stone's heart like shrapnel. 12 years of decorated service, hundreds of cases solved, countless lives saved, all erased by 3 words: guilty as charged. Across the courtroom, separated by an ocean of shocked faces and hushed whispers, his canine partner Max whimpered softly, dark eyes fixed on Alex's face, a confusion in them that mirrored the bewilderment in Alex's own soul. Was this truly how it would end? A respected officer framed for evidence tampering and bribery, his reputation shattered, his freedom forfeit, and worst of all, separated from the only partner who had never doubted him. Not even now. If you've just joined us on this journey of heartbreak and hope, please subscribe to Hearts and Paws, where stories of unbreakable bonds between humans and their animal companions remind us of what truly matters in life. Stay with us through Alex and Max's entire story to understand the depth of loyalty that transcends human judgment and the power of truth to emerge from even the darkest shadows. Max had been more than a police dog in Alex's life. He was family. The 4-year-old German Shepherd had been by his side through gunfire and grief, through long stakeouts and longer nights. They communicated without words, worked as one mind, one heart. And now, as Officer Jansen tugged gently on Max's leash to lead him away, Alex felt as though his very soul was being wrenched from his body. "You have the right to appeal," the judge was saying, but her voice seemed distant, underwater. Alex's focus narrowed to Max's retreating form, the dog's resistance evident in each reluctant step. Max kept turning his head back, ears flattened in distress, a confused whine building in his throat. "I'll fix this," Alex called out, his voice cracking. "I promise, boy, I'll come back for you." The bailiff's hand closed firmly around Alex's upper arm. "Time to go, Stone." As they led him away in handcuffs, Alex's mind raced through the events of the past 3 months. The drug bust gone wrong, the missing evidence, the anonymous tip implicating him, the damning testimony from his own supervisor, Captain John Parker. It had been a masterful frame job, so well executed that even some of his closest colleagues now avoided his gaze. But why? After 12 years of clean service, why target him now? Chapter 2. Chains of separation. The concrete walls of Metropolitan Detention Center seemed to close in with each passing day. 2 weeks into his incarceration, Alex had lost 10 pounds and gained dark circles under his eyes that aged him beyond his 38 years. Sleep eluded him, chased away by the replay of his trial and the haunting image of Max being led away. "Stone, visitor," the guard announced, unlocking his cell with a metallic clank that echoed through the block. Alex hadn't expected anyone. His parents lived across the country, most friends had distanced themselves after the verdict, and his ex-wife had made it clear years ago that his problems weren't hers anymore. Curious and slightly hopeful, he followed the guard to the visitation room. Officer Anna Lee sat waiting, her posture rigid with discomfort in the institutional chair. Though they'd worked in different units, Alex had always respected Anna's integrity and sharp mind. She nodded as he approached, her eyes conveying more kindness than he'd seen in weeks. "I didn't expect to see you here," Alex said, taking a seat across from her. "I didn't expect to be here," Anna admitted, leaning forward slightly. "But something doesn't add up about your case, and it's been bothering me." A flicker of hope ignited in Alex's chest, quickly tempered by bitter experience. "Join the club. I've been going over it in my head day and night." "I visited Max yesterday," Anna said, watching his reaction carefully. Alex's composure cracked. "How is he? Is he eating?" "They won't tell me anything. He's struggling," Anna replied honestly. "They've got him at the canine facility. He's not accepting commands from other handlers, just sits by the gate most days, like he's waiting." Alex swallowed hard against the lump forming in his throat. Max had been just 7 months old when they were paired, a brilliant but headstrong pup who bonded to Alex with unwavering loyalty. The thought of him confused and waiting tore at Alex's heart. "They're talking about retiring him early if he doesn't adjust," Anna continued. "No." Alex shook his head vehemently. "He's the best drug detection dog in the department. He's got years of service left in him." Anna nodded, then lowered her voice. "That's actually part of why I'm here. The case you were working on before your arrest, the Riverside operation, something's off. Evidence has disappeared from other cases too, all linked to Captain Parker's task force." Alex leaned forward, pulse quickening. Parker testified against me, said he caught me tampering with evidence bags. I know, Anna said, but I've been doing some digging. His finances show some irregularities, nothing concrete yet, but visiting time's up, the guard announced, approaching their table. Anna stood quickly. I'll come back, and I'll check on Max again. As the guard led him back to his cell, Alex felt something he hadn't in weeks. Purpose. If Parker had framed him, there had to be evidence. And if Anna was willing to look, maybe there was hope for justice, for freedom, and most importantly, for reunion with the partner who still waited faithfully for his return. Chapter 3. Whispers Through Bars. 3 months into his sentence, Alex had developed the institutional awareness that becomes second nature to inmates. He could sense tensions before fights broke out, knew which guards could be reasoned with, and had learned to protect the small fragments of privacy afforded to him. The prison library became his sanctuary, where he pored over legal texts, searching for precedents that might help his appeal. Anna visited twice monthly, bringing carefully coded updates on her unofficial investigation, and more precious than gold, news of Max. Today, however, her visit carried a different energy. They're moving him tomorrow, she said without preamble, her voice tight with urgency. Moving who? Max. Alex felt his heart drop. Where? The canine training facility upstate. They've decided he can't be rehabilitated for service with another handler. Alex closed his eyes briefly, absorbing the blow. But that's good, right? They're not putting him down. Anna's hesitance spoke volumes. It's complicated. The facility's overcrowded. If he doesn't respond to retraining within 6 weeks, he'll be put up for adoption. And with his attachment issues and specialized training, she didn't need to finish. Max wasn't a typical dog. His intense bonding to Alex and his police training made him unsuitable for most homes. Without proper handling, he could end up bounced between shelters for years, or worse. I need to see him, Alex said, the words escaping before he could consider their impossibility. That's not possible, and you know it, Anna replied, though compassion softened her tone. Then I need to get out of here. My appeal hearing isn't for another 5 months. Anna glanced around, then leaned closer. I found something. About Parker. He's been meeting with Vincent Darrow. Alex's brow furrowed. The real estate developer, the one whose properties keep turning up in our drug investigations, yes, but charges against him always seem to disappear. Like the evidence in my case, Alex muttered. Exactly, Anna confirmed. I think Parker's been on Darrow's payroll for years, making evidence disappear, steering investigations away from certain areas. The case you were working, you were getting too close. But I had no idea Darrow was connected. We were just following the supply chain. Maybe you didn't know, but Max did. Anna smiled slightly. Remember that raid at the Harbor View warehouse? Max kept alerting at that back office, but nothing was found. Alex nodded slowly, memory crystallizing. Parker ordered us to different areas of the building, said we were wasting time. That warehouse is owned by a shell company that traces back to Darrow. I think Max found something Parker didn't want found, and Parker realized your dog was too good at his job. The pieces were falling into place, painting a picture darker than Alex had imagined. His frame-up wasn't just about removing one troublesome officer, it was part of a systematic corruption that potentially stretched through multiple cases, multiple years. I've been trying to access the evidence from your case, Anna continued. Specifically, your jacket, the one they claimed had trace cocaine in the pockets. They said I used it to transport samples I'd skimmed from seizures, Alex recalled bitterly. That jacket's in police storage, along with your personal effects. I've put in requests to examine it, but I'm getting stonewalled. Alex's mind raced with possibilities. My court date, when they transported me from Holding to the courthouse, Max was there. For the handover to the canine unit, Anna nodded. He kept trying to get to my jacket. They thought he was just trying to reach me, but, Alex trailed off, a new thought forming. You think he sensed something? Max is trained to detect more than drugs. He alerts on electronic devices too. Cell phones, recorders, anything with certain battery components. We used him for sweeping secure locations. Understanding dawned in Anna's eyes. You think there might be a device in the jacket, something that could exonerate you, or implicate Parker, Alex said, hope rising dangerously in his chest. But we'd need Max to confirm it. and access to the evidence locker. Leave the access to me, Anna said, standing as the guard signaled the end of visiting hours. But I don't know how to get Max there. As Alex was led back to his cell, a plan began forming in his mind. Desperate, perhaps impossible, but the only chance he could see. If Max truly was being transferred tomorrow, the window of opportunity was closing fast. That night, for the first time since his conviction, Alex slept soundly, a man with purpose, with hope, and with the beginnings of a path back to his faithful partner. Chapter 4. The Handler's Gambit. Anna parked her unmarked police car a block away from the K-9 training facility, her heart pounding against her ribs. What she was about to do could end her career, or worse, land her in the cell next to Alex's. But after 3 weeks of following money trails and shadowy meetings between Parker and Darrow, she was convinced of Alex's innocence and the captain's corruption. The spring morning was cool, dew still clinging to the grass as she approached the facility's side entrance. Officer Ramirez, a friend from the academy and current K-9 handler, waited nervously by the door. "You've got 20 minutes tops," he whispered, swiping his key card. "Jenkins is on break, and Martinez is doing perimeter checks on the east side." Anna nodded gratefully. "I owe you, Carlos. Just be careful. This dog isn't like the others. He's smart, too smart." They moved quickly through the corridors to the kennel area. The facility housed both active-duty police dogs and those in transition or training. Most of the dogs barked excitedly as they passed, but Anna's focus was on the quiet kennel at the end. Max sat perfectly still, amber eyes following their approach with an unnerving intensity. Unlike the other dogs, he made no sound, no movement, just watched, assessed, waited. "He's been like this since they brought him in," Ramirez explained. "Eats minimally, follows basic commands reluctantly. The trainers call him the ghost." Anna approached the kennel slowly, crouching to Max's level. "Hey buddy, remember me?" The German shepherd's ears perked slightly, recognition, but the wariness remained. "I need his leash and equipment," Anna said. "And his service vest." Ramirez hesitated. "Anna, what exactly are you doing?" "The less you know, the better," she replied, maintaining eye contact with Max. "But I'm trying to save both Alex and this dog." With obvious reluctance, Ramirez collected Max's gear from a nearby storage locker. "If anyone asks, I'll say you forced me at gunpoint." Anna managed a tight smile. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that." Leashing Max proved surprisingly easy. The dog seemed to sense purpose in Anna's movements and responded to the familiar equipment with newfound alertness. When she attached his police vest, his posture transformed completely, shoulders squared, head high, fully present in a way the facility staff likely hadn't witnessed. "I'll have him back before anyone important notices," Anna promised, though she knew it might be a lie. If her plan worked, Max might never return to this facility. Ramirez nodded, conflict evident in his expression. "Be careful with him, and tell Stone I always thought something was off about his case." Leading Max to her car, Anna noticed the difference in his gait, no longer the reluctant shuffle described in the facility reports, but the confident stride of a working dog with purpose. He jumped into the back seat without prompting, sitting at attention, eyes fixed on her with an intelligence that was almost unsettling. "We're going to see Alex," she told him, feeling only slightly foolish for speaking to the dog as if he understood. "But first we have a stop to make." The evidence locker at Central Precinct would be her biggest challenge. She had legitimate access due to her ongoing cases, but retrieving Alex's personal effects would require explanation. Fortunately, she had cultivated relationships with the evidence clerks over years of meticulous paperwork and occasional boxes of donuts. "Just one shot at this," she murmured, glancing at Max in the rearview mirror. The dog watched the passing scenery with alert interest, occasionally making small whining sounds as if he recognized neighborhoods they passed. Anna wondered, not for the first time, what exactly went on in the mind of this extraordinary animal. Did he understand concepts like justice, betrayal, loyalty, or was his world simpler? Love, duty, protect. Either way, she was betting everything on Max's abilities today and on the unshakable bond he shared with Alex Stone. As she pulled into the precinct parking lot, Anna took a deep breath. "Ready to go to work, Max?" The German Shepherd's answering bark held none of the listlessness reported by the facility staff. It was the clear, confident response of a canine officer ready for duty. "Then let's go find the truth," Anna said, clipping on his leash. As they walked toward the precinct's rear entrance, she couldn't help noticing how officers and staff instinctively moved aside, respect automatically accorded to a working canine team. It was a powerful reminder of what Alex had lost and what she was risking in his behalf. But watching Max walking purposefully at her side, head high and stride confident, Anna knew the risk was worth taking. Some bonds transcended the system's flaws, and some injustices demanded correction, no matter the personal cost. Chapter 5: Evidence of Loyalty. The evidence clerk barely glanced up when Anna approached the counter, Max sitting obediently at her side. Around them the familiar bustle of the precinct continued, officers filing reports, phones ringing, the constant hum of a system processing the city's chaos into orderly paperwork. "Hey Rodriguez," Anna greeted the clerk casually. "Need to check some evidence on the Westside Pharmacy case." Rodriguez nodded, typing into his computer. "Case number," Anna recited it from memory, having prepared this pretext carefully. As Rodriguez processed her request, she added, "Also need to verify something on the Stone case. Potential connection." This caught his attention. "Stone, that's closed." He took a plea. "Just following up on some inconsistencies," Anna replied smoothly. "Captain's orders." The lie fell easily from her lips, necessary in the chess game she was playing. Rodriguez frowned slightly, but entered the information. "Which items?" "His personal effects from the arrest, specifically, the jacket. That evidence is restricted. Need special authorization." Anna had anticipated this. "Got it right here." She slid across a form bearing Captain Parker's signature, forged meticulously after hours of practice. As Rodriguez examined the document, Max shifted position slightly, his attention focused somewhere beyond the evidence counter. Anna followed his gaze to see Captain Parker himself crossing the bullpen, deep in conversation with the district attorney. "Sit," Anna whispered urgently to Max, who complied but remained rigid with attention, a low rumble building in his chest. Rodriguez, oblivious to the tension, finally nodded. "Looks in order, give me a few minutes." Those minutes stretched eternally, as Anna maintained a casual posture while keeping one eye on Parker and another on Max, who seemed increasingly agitated. The last thing she needed was for the dog to alert to Parker's presence and blow their cover. When Rodriguez returned carrying a sealed evidence bag containing Alex's dark blue jacket, Anna exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "Need to examine this in interview room C," she said. Chain of custody form. After signing the necessary documentation, Anna guided Max down the hallway, the evidence bag clutched tightly under her arm. They had barely turned the corner when a familiar voice called out, "Officer Lee. Unusual escort you've got there." Anna froze, then turned slowly to face Captain Parker. Up close, his smile seemed particularly predatory. "Sir, just following up on some details for the Westside case." Parker's gaze shifted to the evidence bag, then to Max, whose posture had stiffened, though he remained obediently silent. "Isn't that Stone's dog? Thought he was scheduled for reassignment." "Temporary duty," Anna explained. "Canine units short-staffed with the Adams case. He's helping with narcotic detection." Parker studied her for a long moment, suspicion evident in his narrowed eyes. "Interesting choice, given his history with Stone." "Best nose in the department, sir. Results speak for themselves." Something dangerous flickered across Parker's face, recognition, perhaps, that Anna wasn't as convinced of Alex's guilt as others. But his expression quickly smoothed into professional neutrality. "Carry on then. But I want your report on my desk by end of shift." "Yes, sir," Anna replied, relief washing through her as Parker continued down the hallway. Inside interview room C, Anna locked the door and placed the evidence bag on the table. Max immediately approached, his nose working intently along the sealed plastic. "What is it, boy?" Anna whispered, watching his behavior closely. "Show me." Max circled the table, then sat abruptly, staring at the bag with the alert posture Anna recognized from training demonstrations, the indication of a positive find. With gloved hands, she carefully opened the evidence bag and removed Alex's jacket. The navy fabric was creased from storage, a faint scent of the precinct's industrial detergent still clinging to it. According to the case file, lab tests had found trace cocaine in the right pocket, evidence that had damned Alex in court. Max's focus never wavered from the jacket. When Anna laid it flat on the table, he immediately pressed his nose to the left inner seam, then looked up at her expectantly. "Good boy," she murmured, examining the area closely. At first she saw nothing unusual, just standard stitching along the lining. But as her fingers probed the seam, she felt something small and hard, nestled between the outer fabric and inner lining. Heart racing, Anna retrieved a pocket knife from her belt and carefully cut a small slit in the lining. With tweezers from the room's evidence kit, she extracted a tiny object no larger than a watch battery. It was a miniature recording device, the kind used in covert operations by narcotics and vice units. High-tech, department-issued, and absolutely not something that should have been hidden in Alex's jacket. "Oh my God," Anna breathed, turning the device over in her gloved hand. "Good boy, Max, good boy." The dog's tail wagged once at the praise, but his attention remained fixed on the device, as if he understood its significance. Anna bagged the device separately, her mind racing. If this contained recordings related to Alex's case, it could prove his innocence, or at least raise enough questions to justify reopening the investigation. But she needed to access the data without alerting Parker or his allies within the department. A quiet knock at the door jolted her from her thoughts. Quickly returning the jacket to its evidence bag, she concealed the recording device in her pocket before opening the door. Officer Ramirez stood outside, tension etched in his features. "They noticed Max is missing," he whispered urgently. "There's a call out to all units to be on lookout for a stolen police canine. You need to move now." "I found something," Anna told him, gesturing toward the evidence bag. "Hidden recording device in Stone's jacket." Ramirez's eyes widened. "You need to disappear with that until you can get it analyzed. And the dog, I can't return him now. If Parker realizes Max found the device." "The courthouse," Ramirez said suddenly. "Stone has his appeal hearing preliminary review today. Judge Hoffman's courtroom." Understanding bloomed in Anna's mind. "Is the time?" 2 o'clock. 40 minutes from now. Anna's pulse quickened. Perfect timing for a surprise witness. Ramirez's Chapter 6. Courtroom Revelation. Judge Eleanor Hoffman was known for 3 things: her punctuality, her impatience with procedural delays, and her unwavering commitment to considering all evidence, no matter how late it emerged. As Anna slipped into the back of courtroom 3B with Max at her side, she was counting heavily on that third quality. The preliminary review for Alex's appeal was already underway. These hearings were typically procedural formalities, but Anna could see from Alex's slumped shoulders that hope was waning. His public defender looked equally dejected as Assistant District Attorney Melissa Wayland methodically dismantled their grounds for appeal. The evidence against Mr. Stone was overwhelming and conclusive, Wayland was saying. The jury's verdict was sound, based on physical evidence and testimony from multiple officers. There are simply no grounds for. The courtroom doors opened, and heads turned as Anna guided Max down the center aisle. The German shepherd moved with dignified purpose, his focus immediately finding Alex at the defendant's table. "Officer Lee," Judge Hoffman said, peering over her glasses. "This is an unexpected interruption, and with a K-9 officer no less." Alex had straightened in his chair, eyes locked on Max, whose disciplined training was being severely tested by the sight of his handler. The dog trembled slightly with restraint. "Your Honor," Anna began, "I apologize for the interruption, but I've uncovered new evidence directly relevant to Mr. Stone's case, evidence that was concealed during his original trial." ADA Wayland rose immediately. "Your Honor, this is highly irregular. Officer Lee is not assigned to this case, nor has any purported new evidence been properly submitted to the court or made available to the prosecution for review. I discovered this evidence less than an hour ago, Anna countered, reaching into her pocket for the bagged recording device. And given the nature of the discovery and its implications regarding police misconduct, I felt it necessary to bring it directly to the court's attention. Judge Hoffman's interest was visibly piqued. Approach the bench, Officer Lee. Miss Wayland, Mr. Dennings, you as well. As Anna moved forward, Max maintained perfect heel position, though his eyes never left Alex. At the bench, she carefully placed the bag device before the judge. This recording device was concealed inside the lining of Mr. Stone's jacket, the same jacket that allegedly contained trace cocaine used as evidence against him. It's department-issued equipment, the kind used for covert operations. And how exactly did you come to find this? Wayland demanded. Anna gestured to Max. K-9 Officer Max is trained to detect electronic devices as well as narcotics. During a review of evidence related to an ongoing investigation, he alerted to Mr. Stone's jacket. Upon examination, I discovered this hidden device. Judge Hoffman examined the tiny recorder. And what does this device contain? I haven't accessed the recordings, Your Honor. Given the sensitive nature of the discovery, I felt it should be examined under court supervision. Wayland scoffed. This is preposterous. Even if this device exists, which the prosecution has no way to verify at this time, its relevance to Stone's conviction is purely speculative. On the contrary, Anna countered, the very existence of an unauthorized recording device hidden in evidence central to his conviction raises significant questions about the integrity of that evidence. Judge Hoffman considered this, fingers steepled beneath her chin. I'm inclined to agree with Officer Lee on this point. The presence of a concealed recording device in key evidence certainly warrants examination. As the judge and attorneys continued their discussion, a commotion arose in the courtroom. Captain Parker had entered, flanked by two officers. His face darkened with fury when he spotted Max. Officer Lee, he called out, striding forward. You are in possession of a police K-9 without authorization. I'm placing you under temporary suspension pending administrative review. The courtroom fell silent as Judge Hoffman fixed Parker with an icy stare. Captain Parker, you are interrupting court proceedings. Unless you have been subpoenaed to appear, I suggest you remove yourself immediately. Your Honor, Parker began, modulating his tone to respectful urgency. Officer Lee has removed evidence and department property without proper authorization. This constitutes, Captain Parker. The judge interrupted, are you referring to this recording device? She held up the bagged item. The color drained from Parker's face as he recognized the device. In the sudden silence, Max let out a low growl, the first sound he had made since entering the courtroom. Alex rose slowly from his seat. Your Honor, may I speak? After a moment's consideration, Judge Hoffman nodded. That device, Alex said, pointing to the bag, appears to be the same model used in our undercover operations. Only supervising officers have access to assign them. In my case, that would have been Captain Parker. Parker's expression hardened. Stone is a convicted felon, attempting to divert attention from his own crimes. Perhaps, Judge Hoffman replied coolly, but I find the timing of your appearance here interesting, Captain, particularly as Officer Lee has not yet had the opportunity to explain how she knew to bring this evidence to court today. All eyes turned to Anna, who stood her ground despite the tension crackling through the room. I received information that Mr. Stone had a preliminary hearing today. Given the significance of what Max discovered, I felt it warranted immediate judicial attention. This is administrative misconduct, Parker insisted. Officer Lee should be removed from. His words cut off abruptly as Max suddenly lunged forward, straining against his leash. The dog's attention was laser-focused on Parker, his training-perfect behavior replaced by urgent aggression. Control that animal, Parker demanded, stepping back. Anna tightened her grip on the leash. Max, heel, but the dog continued straining toward Parker, nose working frantically, a behavior she recognized immediately. He was alerting to something. In 12 years of service, Max had never made a false alert. Your Honor, Anna said, understanding blooming. Max is indicating that Captain Parker is currently carrying narcotics or similar contraband. The courtroom erupted in murmurs as Parker's face flushed dark red. This is absurd. The dog is clearly responding to his former handler. Judge Hoffman banged her gavel for silence. Captain Parker, in light of these unusual circumstances, would you consent to a search of your person? I most certainly would not. I am a decorated officer of the law, not a suspect. Then perhaps, the judge continued smoothly, you would consent to having Officer Max perform a standard scan. If the animal is as unreliable as you suggest, surely there's no risk. Parker's hesitation was brief, but telling. This is procedurally inappropriate, Your Honor. So noted, Judge Hoffman replied. Bailiff, please secure Captain Parker while we sort this out. And someone from the court's technical staff, please retrieve equipment to access this recording device. As the bailiff approached, Parker's hand moved suddenly toward his jacket pocket. Max lunged again, barking sharply. Hands where I can see them, Captain, the bailiff ordered, suddenly alert to the tension. Slowly, Parker raised his hands. From his pocket, partially visible, protruded a small plastic bag containing white powder. The courtroom fell into stunned silence, broken only by Alex's soft words, "Good boy, Max." In that moment, as Captain Parker was placed in handcuffs and the recording device was prepared for examination, Anna watched Alex and Max regard each other across the courtroom, handler and partner, separated by circumstance but united by an unshakable bond of loyalty and trust. The path to justice had been uncertain and dangerous, but they had followed it together. And now, as the first audio from the hidden device filled the courtroom, Parker's voice discussing evidence tampering with an unknown accomplice, Anna knew their journey was far from over. But watching Alex's expression transform from resignation to vindicated determination, she also knew they would face whatever came next, as they had faced this challenge, with courage, integrity, and the extraordinary partnership between a man and the faithful companion who had never stopped believing in him. Miss Chapter 7, Unraveling Threads. The discovery in Judge Hoffman's courtroom set off a chain reaction throughout the department. Alex was released on his own recognizance pending a full review of his case, while Parker was processed on preliminary charges of evidence tampering and possession of narcotics with intent to distribute. But freedom, Alex quickly learned, carried its own complications. The department placed him on administrative leave, standard procedure during ongoing investigations, and his service weapon and badge remained in official custody. His apartment had been rented to new tenants months ago, his possessions placed in storage he could no longer afford after legal fees had drained his accounts. Anna offered her spare room without hesitation. It's not much, but it's better than a motel, she told him, as she unlocked the door to her modest two-bedroom apartment. Max bounded inside ahead of them, investigating every corner of the new environment with professional thoroughness before settling near the living room window, his preferred vantage point for surveillance. It's perfect, Alex said, setting down the small duffel containing the few belongings he'd accumulated since his release. I can't thank you enough, Anna, for everything. She waved away his gratitude with characteristic practicality. Save your thanks until we've unraveled this completely. Parker's just one thread in what's looking like a very complex web. Over the next days, they established a routine. Mornings were spent reviewing case files Anna brought home, all cases connected to Parker, Darrow, or the drug operations that had preceded Alex's arrest. Afternoons often involved meetings with internal affairs investigators or Alex's newly appointed legal team, provided pro bono by a prestigious firm specializing in wrongful convictions. Evenings were for strategy sessions with trusted officers who had come forward after Parker's arrest, sharing their own suspicions and observations. Max remained constantly at Alex's side, his behavior transforming from the listless depression reported at the training facility to alert, engaged watchfulness. The bond between them seemed to have deepened rather than diminished during their separation, as if both man and dog now understood the preciousness of what they had nearly lost. 2 weeks after Alex's release, the technical analysis of the recording device was completed. The recordings, spanning several months, documented multiple conversations between Parker and Vincent Darrow, detailing their arrangement. Parker would ensure certain areas remained free from police scrutiny, evidence would disappear when necessary, and officers getting too close to Darrow's operations would be reassigned, or, in Alex's case, discredited entirely. It's damning, Anna said, as they reviewed the transcript in her living room, takeout containers pushed aside to make room for the expanding case files. But something still doesn't add up. Why plant the device in your jacket at all? Why not just dispose of it? Alex shook his head, absently scratching behind Max's ears as the dog rested against his leg. Insurance, maybe. Parker doesn't strike me as the trusting type, even with his co-conspirators. Or maybe it wasn't Parker who planted it. Anna suggested. These recordings implicate at least 3 other officers and 2 people in the DA's office. Any of them might have been gathering evidence. Max suddenly lifted his head, ears pricked forward, attention fixed on the apartment door seconds before the doorbell rang. Both officers tensed, a professional habit born of years facing the unexpected. As Anna moved to check the peephole, "It's Detective Ramirez," she announced, relief evident in her voice as she unlocked the door. Carlos Ramirez entered looking haggard, the strain of recent events evident in the shadows beneath his eyes. Since helping Anna borrow Max from the canine facility, he had become an integral part of their investigation, using his position in the canine unit to access areas of the department others couldn't. "We've got movement," he announced, without preamble, nodding a greeting to Alex. Darrow's clearing out of his office tower downtown. Security reports multiple shredding services arriving this morning. Alex straightened. He knows Parker's recordings are being analyzed. "That's not all," Ramirez continued, accepting the coffee Anna offered. "I was reviewing the K-9 unit deployment logs for the Harbor View warehouse raid, the one where Max alerted but nothing was found. Turns out there was a second search the following night." "A second search," Anna frowned. "That wasn't in any of the case files. Because it wasn't official," Ramirez explained. "Parker took another dog there, Rocco, handled by Officer Mendez. According to the informal log, they recovered nothing, but Mendez requested a transfer to Traffic Division 3 days later. That's not a typical career move for a canine handler," Alex noted, his investigator's instincts firing. "Did you talk to Mendez?" "Tried to," Ramirez said grimly. "He called in sick yesterday after the news about Parker's recordings broke. His wife says he left town for a fishing trip with no definite return date." Anna and Alex exchanged knowing glances. Running was rarely the action of an innocent man. "We need to get back into that warehouse," Alex said, standing suddenly. Max immediately rose beside him, sensing the shift in energy. Whatever Max found that day, whatever Parker wanted hidden, it might still be there. "The warrant for the original search expired months ago," Anna cautioned. "We'd need probable cause for a new one." "Which we have," Alex countered. Parker's recorded conversations specifically mention the Harbor View location as a secure storage site. That plus the irregularities in the search record should be enough for Judge Hoffman. Ramirez nodded slowly. "I can get the warrant request started. But Alex, you're still on administrative leave. Officially, you can't participate in any search." "Officially," Alex agreed, a hint of his old determination returning to his eyes. "But Max is the only one who knows exactly where he alerted in that warehouse. And technically, he's still a department asset." Anna raised an eyebrow. "Are you suggesting we use Max as a way to get you into the search team? That's stretching procedure pretty thin." "The entire department is in chaos right now," Alex pointed out. "Half the command structure is under investigation. If there was ever a time when bending the rules to find the truth would be overlooked, it's now." The 3 officers contemplated this moral calculus in silence, each weighing their careers against their commitment to justice. It was Max who broke the tension, moving to the door and looking back at them expectantly, as if to say the decision was already made. "Let's do this properly," Anna finally said. "I'll call Lieutenant Wasserman. She's acting captain since Parker's arrest, and she's known for doing things by the book. If we lay out what we know and why we need both Max and Alex at that warehouse, she might authorize it." Alex nodded, recognizing the wisdom in her approach. "You're right. We've come this far by following the evidence. We can't start cutting corners now." As Anna made the call, Alex knelt beside Max, studying the dog's alert expression. "You knew all along, didn't you, boy? You tried to tell us something was wrong." Max pressed his nose against Alex's hand, his warm breath a familiar comfort. In that moment, Alex felt a certainty that transcended logic or evidence. Whatever darkness they were about to face, this extraordinary bond would see them through. Chapter 8. Shadows in the Warehouse. Harbor View Industrial Park cast long shadows in the setting sun, its weathered buildings silhouetted against the orange-gold sky like sentinels from another era. Once the bustling heart of the city's manufacturing sector, it had declined steadily over decades, its empty warehouses becoming perfect vessels for less legitimate enterprises. Lieutenant Sarah Wasserman stood beside her unmarked car, watching as the search team assembled. Her decision to include Alex and Max had not been made lightly, but the recording evidence and the dog's specialized training had ultimately convinced her. "Remember," she addressed the assembled officers, "this is by the book. We have a limited warrant based on the evidence from Parker's recordings and the irregularities in the previous search. Stone is here solely as Max's handler, under Officer Lee's supervision." Alex nodded his understanding, feeling strange in the civilian clothes that marked his liminal status, neither fully officer nor civilian. Max, however, was in full working gear, the vest and leash signaling to him that this was official business. "Primary focus is Section C and D on the east side," Wasserman continued, gesturing to the warehouse blueprints spread across her car hood. "Those areas match the location where Max alerted during the original search, and they're referenced specifically in Parker's recordings as storage zones." The team moved in precise formation, Wasserman taking point, followed by 4 officers in tactical gear, then Alex with Max, and Anna covering the rear. The warehouse's massive doors groaned as they slid open, revealing a cavernous space of concrete and steel, dust motes dancing in the beams of their flashlights. "Same layout as before," Alex murmured to Anna as memories flooded back. "We started in the northwest corner, working systematically toward the east." Max moved with purpose, nose working constantly, body language communicating to Alex with the fluency born of years together. They passed abandoned machinery, empty shelving units, scattered debris from the building's former life, all carefully examined and dismissed by the specialized search dog. As they approached the eastern section, Max's demeanor changed subtly. His pace quickened, his breathing pattern shifted. Alex recognized the signs immediately. "He's got something," he announced quietly to the team. They followed as Max led them confidently toward a nondescript section of wall. Unlike the rest of the warehouse, this area showed signs of recent activity. The dust pattern on the floor disturbed, subtle scuff marks on the concrete. Max sat abruptly in front of what appeared to be a utility panel, his alert posture unmistakable. "Good boy," Alex praised softly, the familiar words triggering a brief tail wag before Max refocused, eyes fixed on the panel. Lieutenant Wasserman approached, examining the wall carefully. "What's he alerting to? Drugs? Electronics?" "Both, I think," Alex replied, watching Max's specific body language. "But there's something unusual about his behavior. This isn't a standard alert." Anna knelt beside them, running her fingers along the edge of the panel. "This doesn't match the building plans. According to the blueprint, this should be solid wall." One of the tactical officers stepped forward with a small electronic device. "Permission to use the thermal scanner, Lieutenant." At Wasserman's nod, he activated the device, scanning the area methodically. "We've got a temperature differential behind this panel, approximately 8 degrees cooler than the surrounding wall. Could be a ventilation shaft," Wasserman suggested. "Or a hidden room," Anna countered. Alex watched as Max pawed gently at the bottom of the panel, a behavior he typically reserved for indicating concealed compartments. "I think Max is telling us there's a way in." After a thorough examination, they discovered a subtle mechanism. Pressure applied to specific points in sequence caused the panel to slide sideways, revealing a narrow passageway beyond. "Hold positions," Wasserman ordered, unholstering her weapon. "We treat this as an unknown threat situation. Martinez, call for backup. Lee, you're with me. Stone, keep Max secured until we clear the space." Alex felt the familiar surge of adrenaline, tempered by the frustration of his civilian status. He held Max's leash firmly as Wasserman and Anna disappeared into the passageway, followed by 2 tactical officers. Minutes stretched with excruciating slowness. Max remained focused on the opening, his body tense with alertness. Finally, Anna's voice called from within. "Lieutenant says to bring Max in, and Alex, you're going to want to see this." The passageway opened into a small room, humming with electronic equipment, servers, monitors, and what appeared to be an elaborate communications system. But it was the adjacent room that rendered Alex momentarily speechless. Floor-to-ceiling shelving held carefully organized evidence bags, drugs, weapons, cash, and documents, each labeled with case numbers. Alex recognized from investigations spanning the past 5 years. Cases where evidence had mysteriously disappeared or been ruled inadmissible. Cases involving properties owned by Vincent Darrow. "It's all here," Anna said softly, standing beside a stunned Lieutenant Wasserman. "Every piece of evidence that vanished from our lockup. Parker wasn't destroying it, he was storing it." Leverage, Alex realized. Insurance against Darrow or anyone else in their operation. If they turned on him, he could reintroduce all this evidence back into the system and implicate them for its disappearance. Wasserman added, her expression grim. The recordings were just the tip of the iceberg. Max moved purposefully toward one particular shelf, alerting again with the same distinctive behavior. Alex followed, examination revealing a hidden compartment beneath the lowest shelf. Inside lay a laptop and several external hard drives. The missing financial records from the West Side case, Anna identified them immediately. The ones that would have connected Darrow to the money laundering operation. As the backup team arrived and began the meticulous process of documenting and securing the evidence, Alex found himself standing in the center of the room, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the corruption they had uncovered. Lives ruined, justice denied, communities devastated by the drugs and violence that had flourished under Parker's protection, all for profit and power. Max pressed against his leg, a steady presence grounding him amid the turmoil of emotions. When Alex looked down, the dog's intelligent eyes seemed to reflect his own complex feelings, satisfaction at the truth uncovered, but sorrow for the damage done. "What happens now?" he asked Wasserman, who was coordinating the evidence collection with brisk efficiency. "Now," she replied, pausing to meet his gaze directly. "Now, we rebuild. Every case connected to this evidence gets reopened. Every conviction gets reviewed. It's going to be the biggest internal investigation in department history. And Darrow, based on this," Wasserman gestured to the room of evidence, "he won't see daylight for decades, nor will anyone else involved in this conspiracy." Alex nodded, a weight simultaneously lifting from his shoulders while a new responsibility settled in its place. The path to restoring justice would be long and arduous, requiring strength he wasn't sure he still possessed after months of imprisonment and isolation. As if sensing his doubt, Max nudged his hand, the simple gesture communicating what words could not. "You are not alone. We do this together." For the first time since his world had collapsed in that courtroom months ago, Alex Stone felt the solid ground of purpose beneath his feet once more. Whatever came next, he would face it with the same loyalty and determination his partner had shown him, one step at a time, one truth after another, until justice was fully restored. Chapter 9. The web unravels. The weeks following the warehouse discovery unfolded in a blur of depositions, evidence reviews, and increasingly dramatic arrests. Vincent Darrow was taken into custody, attempting to board his private jet, his destination a country with no extradition treaty. 3 assistant district attorneys, 7 officers, and a judge were implicated in the expanding investigation. For Alex, the process of official exoneration took less time than expected, accelerated by the mountain of evidence recovered from Parker's hidden storage room. Judge Hoffman, who had presided over his initial appeal hearing, personally signed the orders dismissing all charges and expunging his record. "The system failed you, Officer Stone," she told him after the formalities were completed. "But it was also the system, through dedicated officers like Lee and Ramirez, and through your extraordinary partner, that ultimately corrected itself. Remember that balance in the days ahead." Reinstatement to active duty came next, though not without conditions. Department psychiatrist required regular sessions to address the trauma of wrongful imprisonment. Requalification tests, physical, tactical, procedural, had to be passed. And there was the matter of rebuilding relationships with colleagues who had believed in his guilt. Through it all, Max remained his constant. The bond between them seemed to have transcended their separation, emerging stronger, more intuitive. The training facility veterinarian, who examined Max after their reunion, observed that the dog's physical condition had improved dramatically, as if his handler's return had healed something essential within him. "He's got what he needs now," the vet explained simply, watching Max lean against Alex's leg. Some partnerships go beyond training. On a crisp autumn morning, 3 months after the warehouse discovery, Alex and Max reported for their first official shift back on duty. The precinct felt both familiar and strange, changed by the scandal, but slowly healing, as he was. "Feeling ready?" Anna asked, falling into step beside him as they walked toward the morning briefing. Her support had never wavered, even as the investigation consumed their lives and tested the department's foundations. "As ready as we'll ever be," Alex replied, watching Max trot confidently beside him, head high and alert. One day at a time, the briefing room fell silent as they entered, all eyes turning toward them. Alex tensed, uncertain of his reception after everything that had happened. Then Lieutenant Wasserman, now Captain Wasserman, promoted after the leadership vacuum left by Parker's arrest, stood and began to applaud. One by one, other officers joined, until the room filled with the sound of solidarity and respect. Not universal, Alex noted a few who remained seated, their trust harder to regain, but enough to warm something cold that had lingered in his chest since his arrest. "All right, settle down," Wasserman called, gesturing for attention. "We've got work to do." The Darrow case has opened up territory disputes between rival operations. Intelligence reports increased activity in the Riverside district. As the briefing continued, Alex felt a text message vibrate in his pocket. Discreetly checking it, he found a message from District Attorney Merrill, who had been appointed after his predecessor's implication in the scandal. Final tally, 43 cases reopened, 12 wrongful convictions overturned so far. Parker pleading guilty to avoid trial. Press conference at 2 p.m. to announce full task force on police corruption. Your presence requested if available. Alex looked down at Max, sitting attentively at his side, then across at Anna, who had risked everything to help him. The system had failed him, yes, but good people committed to justice had not. Stone Wasserman's voice interrupted his thoughts. "You and Max are assigned to assist Detective Lee with the Riverside surveillance operation. Given your history with the area, and Max's exceptional detection abilities, you're uniquely qualified." "Yes, ma'am," Alex responded, feeling the familiar surge of purpose that came with meaningful work. As the briefing concluded, and officers dispersed to their assignments, Alex paused by the memorial wall near the precinct entrance. Among the photographs of officers lost in the line of duty was a newer addition, a canine service plaque honoring dogs who had given exceptional service. Max's image wasn't there, not yet, but Alex made a silent promise that someday, when his partner eventually retired, his extraordinary loyalty and intelligence would be recognized, not just for finding a hidden recording device or uncovering a conspiracy, but for something far more profound, unwavering faith in his handler when the rest of the world had turned away. "Come on, boy," Alex said softly, patting his leg. "We've got work to do." Max rose immediately, pressing briefly against Alex's leg, before assuming the perfect heel position, ready for whatever challenge came next. Together they walked out into the autumn sunshine, partners in the truest sense of the word, their bond a testament to what loyalty could accomplish in a world too often lacking in both justice and faith. Chapter 10. Healing Justice. 1 year after Alex's exoneration, the city's police academy gymnasium was transformed for an unusual ceremony. Rows of chairs faced a simple podium, behind which hung a banner reading Canine Service Excellence Awards. The annual event typically received little attention outside the department, but today's ceremony had attracted media from across the state. Alex stood backstage, adjusting his dress uniform while Max sat patiently beside him, specially groomed for the occasion, his coat gleaming under the lights. The German Shepherd had recently been officially recognized as the department's top detection dog, his success rate unmatched despite, or perhaps because of, the months of trauma they had endured together. Nervous? Anna asked, approaching in her own dress uniform. Her promotion to detective sergeant had come through the previous month, well-deserved recognition for her role in exposing the corruption scandal. A little, Alex admitted. Public speaking was never my strong suit. Just speak from the heart, she advised. No one expects poetry. Officer Stone. 2 minutes, the event coordinator called, clipboard in hand. Alex nodded, taking a deep breath. The past year had been one of rebuilding, his career, his reputation, his sense of trust in the system he served. There had been difficult days, particularly during Parker's trial, where details of the conspiracy's reach had shaken the department to its core, but there had been healing too. The task force established in the wake of the scandal had implemented sweeping reforms. New leadership had prioritized transparency and accountability. Most importantly, the community's faith in its police force, severely damaged by the revelations, was slowly being restored through deliberate outreach and demonstrable change. And now came the announcement from the podium. To present our Special Commendation Award, Officer Alexander Stone and his canine partner Max. Applause greeted them as they walked onto the stage, Max perfectly positioned at Alex's side. From the audience, Alex could see familiar faces: Captain Wasserman, Carlos Ramirez, the public defender who had first taken his appeal case, even Judge Hoffman. In the front row sat a group of people whose faces had become familiar over the past year, men and women wrongfully convicted through Parker's corruption, now exonerated and rebuilding their own lives. At the podium, Alex looked out over the assembled crowd, the speech he had prepared suddenly seeming inadequate for the moment. Instead, he unclipped Max's leash, a gesture of trust and partnership, and began to speak from experience rather than notes. 1 year ago, I was inmate number 42781 at Metropolitan Detention Center, he started, his voice steady despite the emotion behind the words. I had lost my freedom, my reputation, my sense of identity. The system I had served for 12 years had turned against me, and I had nearly lost faith in everything I believed about justice. He glanced down at Max, who maintained his position perfectly, attentive to his handler's every move. But there was one who never lost faith in me, one who knew the truth when no one else would listen, one whose loyalty transcended the bars and procedures and prejudgments that had separated us. Alex reached down to rest his hand on Max's head, an unorthodox break in protocol that felt entirely right for the moment. We often talk about the special bond between canine officers and their handlers. We train together, work together, sometimes live together. But until I experienced the depth of that bond through its testing, I didn't fully understand its power. The audience was silent, captivated by the unvarnished emotion in his words. Max didn't just find a recording device that led to my exoneration. He didn't just alert to evidence that exposed a conspiracy. What Max did was more profound. He remained faithful when faith seemed foolish. He remembered the truth when others accepted lies. And in doing so, he didn't just save my career or my freedom. He saved justice itself. Alex gestured toward the men and women in the front row. Because of Max's persistence, 12 innocent people have been freed from wrongful imprisonment. Because of his training and his heart, a system that had been corrupted is being restored. And because of his loyalty, I stand before you today, not just as a reinstated officer, but as someone with a deeper understanding of what true justice requires from all of us. From his pocket, Alex withdrew a small velvet box. Today, we present Max with the department's highest honor for a canine officer, the Medal of Valor. But no medal can truly capture what this extraordinary animal has given to me, to this department, and to the cause of justice. As Alex pinned the medal to Max's service vest, the dog remained perfectly still, his intelligent eyes fixed on his handler's face with unmistakable devotion. The audience rose in standing ovation, the applause washing over the stage, as Alex knelt to embrace his partner, whispering words of praise that belonged to them alone. Later, as they mingled with well-wishers at the reception, District Attorney Merrill approached them, champagne flute in hand. "Remarkable speech, Stone," she commented. and remarkable dog. We're establishing a new specialized unit focused on reviewing questionable convictions, cases where evidence may have been manipulated or concealed. I'd like you and Max to consider joining." Alex raised an eyebrow. "A full-time position, with appropriate rank advancement," Merrill confirmed. "Your experience on both sides of the system gives you unique perspective, and Max's abilities are unmatched. Think about it." As she moved away, Anna appeared at his elbow. "Sounds like a perfect fit." Alex watched Max accepting gentle attention from a group of children, his behavior impeccable, despite the excitement around him. "It does, doesn't it? Using what we went through to prevent others from experiencing the same injustice." "Full circle," Anna agreed. "From victims of the system to its reformers." That evening, as twilight painted the sky in shades of purple and gold, Alex took Max for a long walk through the waterfront park. Away from the ceremonies and commendations, it was just the two of them again, man and dog, partners in the truest sense, their synchronized steps the physical manifestation of their unspoken connection. They paused at a quiet outlook overlooking the harbor, the lights of the city beginning to twinkle against the darkening sky. Alex unclipped Max's leash, allowing him freedom to explore the grassy area while remaining attentive to his handler's position. Watching his partner move with confident joy, Alex reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The fall from grace, the darkness of imprisonment, the painful separation, all of it transformed by loyalty and persistence into something redemptive. The system had failed him, yes, but it had also corrected itself through the dedication of those who refused to accept injustice as final. "Max," he called softly, and the dog immediately returned to his side, pressing warmly against his leg in familiar communion. Together they stood watching the city lights, guardians once more of the community they had sworn to protect. Their path forward would not be without challenges. Trust, once broken, rebuild slowly. Systems, once corrupted, reform gradually. But in the steady presence of his extraordinary partner, Alex found unwavering certainty that whatever came next, they would face it as they had faced everything else. Together, with courage, integrity, and the kind of faithful loyalty that transcends words, the silent promise between handler and dog that neither man's corruption nor institutional failure could ever truly break. Epilogue. Faithful guardians. 5 years later, the Specialized Conviction Integrity Unit operated from a renovated floor of the Justice Building, its walls lined with case files, and its offices humming with the steady work of investigators committed to reviewing questionable convictions. At its heart was the partnership that had inspired its creation, Detective Sergeant Alexander Stone and his canine partner Max, now distinguished by the gray around his muzzle, but still sharp in mind and skill. Under their leadership, the unit had reviewed over 300 cases, resulting in 67 overturned convictions and the identification of 23 instances of official misconduct. Their work had expanded beyond the Parker conspiracy to address broader systemic issues, establishing protocols that were being adopted by departments across the country. On this particular morning, Alex arrived early, Max trotting beside him with the dignified gait of an aging but dedicated officer. At 9 years old, the German Shepherd was approaching retirement age, a reality Alex found himself increasingly reluctant to face. "Good morning, Detective," called Anna, now Captain Lee, as she approached from the elevator. Her recent promotion to head of internal affairs had been unanimous, her integrity during the Parker investigation establishing her as the natural choice to oversee departmental ethics. "Captain," Alex greeted her with a smile. "To what do we owe the pleasure?" "Training day," she reminded him. "The new K9 teams, you promised to help evaluate them." Alex nodded, remembering. The department had expanded its K9 program significantly, with particular emphasis on the specialized detection skills that had proven so crucial in uncovering Parker's conspiracy. Each team now trained not just for traditional police work, but for evidence validation and integrity checks. Max's legacy in procedural form. At the training facility, 6 handler dog teams waited with varying degrees of nervousness. Alex and Max moved among them, offering advice and demonstrations, the older dog's experience serving as both standard and inspiration for the newcomers. During a break, Alex found himself standing beside the training director, watching Max interact with a young German shepherd whose enthusiasm reminded him of his partner in earlier years. "He's going to be 9 next month," the director observed, following Alex's gaze. "Have you given any thought to retirement options?" The question, though expected, still caused a tightness in Alex's chest. "Some," he admitted, "but he still passes all his certifications with flying colors, still loves the work." "No doubt," the director agreed. "But the department policy—" "I know the policy," Alex interrupted gently. 9 years is the standard retirement age. He trailed off, watching as Max demonstrated perfect restraint to the younger dog, a master class in controlled power. "You just can't imagine doing the job without him," the director finished for him. It was true, despite the team of investigators now working under his supervision, despite the protocols and procedures they had established, Alex still relied on Max's intuition and skills daily. More than that, he relied on the profound partnership they had formed, the unspoken communication, the absolute trust, the shared purpose that had carried them through their darkest days. That evening, as had become their custom, Alex and Max stopped by the memorial wall at the original precinct building. The canine service plaque had expanded over the years, now featuring stories of exceptional service alongside photographs of the dogs who had distinguished themselves in the line of duty. A space waited there for Max, an honor already confirmed for when retirement finally came. But as Alex gazed at the wall, he realized that no plaque, no medal, no official recognition could truly capture what his partner had given him, and countless others. Justice, in its purest form, was not merely about laws and procedures. It was about loyalty to truth, even when that truth was inconvenient or dangerous. It was about persistence in the face of systemic failure. It was about faith that transcended evidence. These were the lessons Alex had learned through wrongful imprisonment and vindication, through rebuilding his life and helping others reclaim theirs. These were the lessons embodied in the extraordinary animal who had never wavered in his belief, who had followed the scent of truth when others accepted comfortable lies. "Ready to go home, boy?" Alex asked, reaching down to stroke the graying head. Max looked up at him with eyes that, despite the passage of years, remained clear and intelligent, filled with the same devotion that had sustained them both through their journey from darkness to light. As they walked together toward the setting sun, steps perfectly synchronized, Alex reflected that though retirement would eventually come, for Max and someday for himself, the legacy they had created together would endure, in reformed procedures, in lives reclaimed from wrongful conviction, and in the profound understanding that true justice requires not just human laws, but the kind of faithful guardianship that sees beyond appearances to the truth that lies within. Some partnerships transcend professional boundaries to become something sacred, a reminder that in a world of human fallibility, the purest form of loyalty might sometimes come with 4 paws and an unwavering heart. Max had been his guardian through the darkest chapter of his life. Now together, they stood as guardians of justice itself, their story a testament to the extraordinary power of faith when all other lights go out. In memory of all the service dogs whose loyalty and intelligence have brought justice, comfort, and truth to a world that sometimes forgets the meaning of faithfulness.